Okay, I was going to record today's vlog in a coffee shop, and it was gonna be really cool. It was gonna be all set up, and then it was way too loud. I'm trying a new microphone, and honestly, it just didn't work. So then I tried to come back here to my office to record on the same day, and let's just say there was a giant orchestra next door because I'm located next to the worship center, and they were playing, I don't know, Beethoven's Ninth. And so I couldn't record anything. So I'm recording this in the morning, early in the morning, trying to get this knocked out. So that's why we're in my office. And that's why I may look like I just woke up, because it's 8 o'clock. I've been up since 5, but still, I still have that just woke up kind of look. Today we're talking about being an introvert on social media and what that's like, because I can speak for this because I am an introvert. I'm a huge introvert. In fact, if you ask me what's my ideal perfect day, I would tell you it is sitting at home alone with a book and reading all day long, or working on something but being alone and just doing it by myself. That's just how I'm wired. That's who I am. So the idea of like interacting and doing stuff on social media in some ways can be as a little bit like, it's kind of just rubs up against that introverted nature. I'm not the kind of person who's gonna be like, hey, how you doing? How's your Friday? That's just not me. I'm also not the person who's gonna share every mundane detail of my life. However, I've learned that in order to function in this new world that we live in, I have to be able to do social media, and I gotta be able to do it and do it well. So here's how I cope with that. First thing I have to understand is that a lot of us who are introverts approach social media kind of like the TV show Star Trek, where in Star Trek they had this idea that whenever they went to a new planet, a new culture they saw it, they could observe but not interfere. And that's how a lot of us, like introverts like me, approach social media. We just want to observe, we don't want to interfere, we don't want to actually interact, we just want to kind of look back from afar. And the problem is, of course, that kind of violates the whole nature of what social media is, the social aspect of it. It's the idea of wanting to interact with people. So first off, you have to understand that you're going to require some sort of interaction. Now, hear me say though, for a lot of us, the idea of logging into a social media account, interacting is very taxing, and that I totally get. So here's some of the things you can do to kind of overcome that whole idea of just wanting to observe and not really kind of interact. First thing you can do is break this whole thing off into small chunks. Try interacting for just 15 minutes a day. Find a hashtag, find a group of friends, find a group of people that you follow, have similar interests than you do. You can obviously do that via a hashtag, and just interact with those people for just 15 minutes. Just pose a question, comment on something, just have a small piece of interaction. Just try it for 15 minutes. I'm referring to like Twitter when I say like hashtags and that kind of thing. On Instagram, set a goal to post just one photo a day. Okay, just one single photo a day. Facebook, maybe just comment on one thing a day, but slowly start with like 15 minutes. Think of it like exercise. You're gonna start at 15 minutes and then you slowly build up to 20, 30, 40. Before you know it, eventually open up the phone, jumping in, sharing on social media, and dialoguing on social media won't be nearly as contentious as it is for you right now because of your introverted nature. So start off with 15 minutes and just start off just trying just a little bit of interaction. Now you may be asking yourself, that's great, 15 minutes of interaction on what other people share, but what should I share? That's a good question. I kind of break things down in what you share like 3 different categories, or there are 3 different types of people. There are people that are what I call curators, and these are people that actually find other content and they share it with people. They share links, they share other things they find around the internet with those people. So they find a topic that they're devoted to and they're passionate about, say like design, and they basically, that's what they push out. They push out curated content based around design. Okay, then there's a second category, and those people are creators. They're people who create their own content via video, via blog posts, vlogs, whatever that is, podcasts, whatever it is that they create. They create that and they push that content out. Now, if you're an introvert person, that probably gives you a little heartburn of thinking about doing that. And I'm saying you as somebody right now who's on a vlog, who's an introvert, I understand that. Again, this is one of the things that I personally have had to build up to be able to do and be comfortable with doing. But you have the creators, the second one I just referred to is, and those are people that are actually creating content for people. They're also the people that honestly I think are the most brave, because they're putting themselves out there for an audience and they're getting feedback whether they like it or not. The third type, and I think it's the one that everybody kind of misunderstands, and that's the commenter. That's somebody who publishes content based on commenting on something. They're the people who are really funny on Twitter, really funny on Instagram, or really insightful because they're usually experts at something. A lot of people try to be a commenter, they try to comment on culture, on certain things, and the reality of it is that's where if you're not careful, that's the person who ends up becoming the person who tweets about the ham sandwich they just had. Okay, commenting on social media it may seem like an easy thing to do, but you really need to have an expertise. You really need to know what you're talking about before you start talking about things on social media. Otherwise, you're gonna get called on the carpet for it. So you have people who curate, people who create, and people who comment. And I would tell you, if you're trying to figure out who you are in that and what you're going to share, I'd say it's probably gonna be a mixture of one of those three. You might be a little bit of a curator, you might do some commenting, you might be a curator, and you might be a creator. You might be a creator, you might be a commenter, or you might be solely one of those things. For me, I'm a bit of a curator and a bit of a creator. Okay, with just a little bit of commenting, but I'm much more of a curator and much more a creator. I don't really comment too much on what's going on in the world in terms of things I don't know about, like say like politics or that kind of thing. I stay away from that type of thing, because that hopefully will provide the people who follow me and my audience a little bit better value for their time and their attention that I'm getting. Her name Merlin Mann, and that is the idea when you're creating content for the first time, it's like making pancakes. And when you make pancakes, if you ever made them, you realize the first one's always a bad pancake. It's just because you never know how hot the griddle is when you're cooking it. And so the first one is always horrible because that's the barometer for how hot the pan is. So when you make and you create content for social media and you put stuff out there, it's okay that you're really bad at it. It's okay that, man, for a while you suck at it for a good while. And that's okay, because when you do that, you're only going to go up and you're only going to get better, okay? You're only going to improve yourself, but you've got to start somewhere. So it's okay with starting out and not being great at what you do, because eventually you will get better if you stick with it long enough, you try hard enough, and you study and you just hustle. You do those things and eventually you will get better. And for a lot of introverts, whenever they fear that barrier, if you can get over that barrier, and again, 15 minutes a day to start out with something small, you'll eventually get better at social media and you'll get better at creating content or curating content for people. One other way, and I'll mention this and I'll close on this, is one other way to kind of help ease yourself into it is you can actually automate some of your social media. Now, while I'm not crazy about a whole lot of automation in social media, because I think sometimes it takes away the interactive part of it, there are certain tools you can use like Hootsuite, Buffer, you can use Grum for Instagram. There are certain tools that you can use that'll help you, if you will, kind of automate that thing for you, where you can create the content, push it out, and kind of schedule it out so you're not constantly thinking about it, but it kind of sets a little bit of your mind at ease that it's all being pushed out and you don't have to worry about it, you don't mentally have to think about it. So if you're one of those people that kind of brings a little anxiety to, kind of schedule some stuff out and go that route at first, and then eventually you'll build up again, 15 minutes a day, you'll start interacting, and then all that creating content will eventually just take over for you. So those are my thoughts on being an introvert and trying to do social media. Again, it's not easy, but if you start off small and build your way up, eventually you'll create content that you're proud of, and you'll eventually find an audience, start sharing with the audience, and start building community online, because at the end of the day, that's what you really want to do when you're interacting on social media. Thanks, bye.